What is the difference between dating and marriage? There is none. The only thing that separates these two types of relationships is belief. So I guess there is a difference, but I have to captivate you somehow. So let's keep going. In other words, it is the attitude toward the relationship. I have been engaged for almost a year and we are getting ready to be married in a month. And so this is a way, and this video is a way for me to really lay out the argument of marriage and test it out with you. See if I'm completely in the wrong and out of my mind, or is it at least pointing in the right direction? This experience taught me something that I would have never learned otherwise. I now understand why people are hesitant to get married, especially so-called early. Even getting ready to get married has been one of the hardest things I have ever had to do. Maybe I had not had a hard life, and fair enough, but in any case, I get why people are afraid, especially these days, of marriage. Of course, they mask this fear in skeptical, rational arguments and mainly in the argument of time. There's so much time in the world, you're so young, etc., etc. That is just noise. At bottom, I think it is fear. Fear of what? I would venture to guess a fear of responsibility. I encountered the philosophy of responsibility when I was around 20. It captivated me. Take responsibility for your life. Adopt as much responsibility as you can bear, and meaning will follow. It struck me and gave me purpose in life. I feel that one of the ways I embodied the idea is by trying to get married. However, in my naivety, I did not anticipate just how hard it would be. Who could have thought that responsibility takes effort and courage, right? If you're honest, scrupulous, and conscious about your relationship, it is incredibly hard, demanding, and frustrating. It is asking you to be the best version of yourself and asking your partner to do the same. There is so much temptation to become resentful, to hold a grudge against your partner, to get into a tennis match of, I'm doing all of this and what are you doing? How are you repaying? That is obviously not the right attitude. Keeping the relationship maintained and healthy takes constant effort, and failure is frequent. Patience, empathy, unconditional love are all things I am learning. They're not natural to me. These are the preconditions to the concept of marriage. Again, the difference between marriage and dating is attitude. That is the only thing that is different, but it is a major difference that people naively overlook. When you decide to get married, in essence, what you're deciding is to close the door on possibility and potential. People focus too much on this part and forget that once you have closed the door to outer potential, it is now time to create the potential inside the room you have voluntarily made yourself stuck in. This dynamic is what scares us. It is easier in a way to have an open door in your existence. It provides comfort, knowing that if things go wrong, there's always that door, always potential, always someone else. But once you get married, really married, meaning once and for all, that all changes. When things go wrong, the door is bolted shut. Opening it would take a lot of work and may not be worth it. Or at least it is there to try and stop you, to try and force you to find other alternatives, to find solutions and not just walk out, at least in theory. That is the idea behind the concept of marriage and why it is supposed to work. It is to bolt that door shut. Why? Because it is unfathomably harder to kindle the fire yourself than it is to randomly encounter it for brief periods out in the world. It is a completely different way of being. We are lazy and annoying creatures, and we are quite hard to get along with, each of us. I mean, it's fine going out for drinks or for coffee with your friends or dating your partner and going on nice romantic dinners, but if you really want to test another person, try living with them. Try living with them in the mountains without any distractions, and you will see just how hard humans are to get along with. So we create potential inside the room only when we are forced to, ideally by our own choice. Marriage is making a choice to have no choice, and this dynamic is a significant part of its essence. There is something fundamentally human about it. It is the belief that once the door is closed, there can be light inside. You can create something potentially better than whatever is outside, and it is a different mode of being. Belief in that relationship so strong that you're willing to close the door and commit to it. Without that belief, marriage does not work. Marriage is about tying your existence to your partners with the hope of making something stronger together. True belief manifests in action. The act of marriage shows true belief, not just pretty words. And that is what makes humans beautiful, at least in abstraction. Reality may be different, but the manifestation of beauty, potential, should be the goal. In my eyes, it is the essence of humanity. Perhaps it is a romantic view of humanity, but I think you have already found out that I tend towards naivety and romanticism. Although I think life is boring without it. Life is boring if you strip it down to atoms and rational whatever. We need beauty. Let's take life beautifully. I mean, let's get out of this rebellious postmodern existence. Belief is not easy, and it is not always enough. It is a relationship between belief and action. If both partners are acting on their belief in themselves and each other, that makes a marriage. At least, I hope so.